Hello everyone, I'm Annie Gibbins and you're listening to Memoirs of Successful Women, the podcast where you get to hear candid conversations with fascinating women from around the globe who share aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure their success and what they have learnt along the way. So today I'm delighted to introduce to you all Aprile Williams, who is going to take us on a journey from being a high school English teacher for 15 years to then going on to do a PhD in emotional intelligence and then now finding the next step in her life, which is actually to become a yoga teacher, implementing emotional intelligence as well. And she's going to share a lot more about that with us. So welcome to the program, Aprile.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate being here tonight.
It's a pleasure. So tell our listeners, tell us a little bit about your journey. What are you doing now? And then we'll look at the journey to date. So what is YOMEI and why does it excite you?
Okay. So YOMEI is Yoga for Mindful Emotional Intelligence, and it's an emotional intelligence workshop that's enhanced by yoga and mindfulness. So I wanted to take my passions for education, my passion for self-improvement and helping others improve in themselves, as well as my passion for yoga, and put it all together into something that can help other people. And that's where YOMEI came from. And the journey to getting there is kind of an interesting story about, I guess it's almost felt like a midlife crisis, mid-career crisis, I guess you can call it, because I was teaching in the classroom for so long, and it came to a point where the passion just started to burn for what I was doing, and the flame started to flicker, and I was like, I think it's time to go before I start resenting this career choice and find something that I'll enjoy again. And then came YOMEI.
Okay, but in the middle of YOMEI and the 15 years teaching and realising that you're a bit at the end of burnout and needing to do something else, you then did a PhD in emotional intelligence. Tell us what that experience has been like and how that helped you find your way to YOMEI.
Okay. So in 2016, my husband and I got married in April, and then he got sent to the Middle East in July for a year. So we were separated. And one thing that was always told to me about other military spouses was stay busy, keep busy, do something. And I decided, okay, what's better than going back to school? And I decided to go for my PhD. And it's actually at EITRI, which is a Doctor of Education. Mm-hmm. And I started in one program. It wasn't for me. I went into another program. It wasn't for me. And then the third one, which I'm in now at Walden University, is the one that I stuck with because it had a self-design feature to it where I can pick my electives that go with the degree so that it kind of fits into what I want to do. Problem was I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted something with distance learning because my master's degree and my doctorate were both in the online platform. I felt like it was a growing place to be, somewhere where I can provide some leadership, especially with my education background. But I wasn't sure exactly why I was going for a PhD other than because I could. And in some sense, I felt like, not that I had something to prove to others, but maybe to myself. I was a high school dropout. So going from a high school dropout teen mom to a doctor is just like a big wow for me. And I just wanted to show that I can do it, like prove to myself I can do anything I put my mind to. And that led to that journey.
Wow.
Yeah. So when it came down to the dissertation topic, I struggled with what my topic would be. And I met my dissertation chair, his name is Dr. Hammett, at a conference. And it was actually my in-person residency. And he is a founding member of the Emotional Intelligence Training and Research Institute. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of started talking about what emotional intelligence is. And I had already known, I've read plenty of books on it. But the impact it has in higher education, the impact it has on careers in the 21st century and students and education. And it just kind of hit a chord for me. And from there, I just kind of ran with it and started my studies in Emotional intelligence.
Amazing. Isn't that interesting? And it's common pathway for many people that you kind of don't know what you want until you're in there. And then suddenly it's like, oh no, that's not quite right. That's not quite right. And then you have to then search and keep looking inwardly to go, well, what am I looking for? And then what matches up? So I think that actually is a common journey and one that we all need to realize. Not everybody knows straight up what
they want. I still don't know
what you want.
I know.
Which is really interesting you've said that, because you obviously went into that PhD looking to go into higher education. The purpose, the intent at the beginning was obviously to stretch yourself, keep yourself very busy because you're a military wife, and I totally understand that. And then also be able to then extend your career out of the classroom, possibly to academia, and which is often why we do a PhD. And so that wasn't the result, though. You suddenly, through that journey, then what happened at the end of doing that PhD to make you get obsessed with yoga?
So I was already obsessed with yoga before I started my PhD. I actually got into yoga during the same time that I started school. It really grounded me. It helped me manage my stress. It leveled me out. I was always a very high strung, just kind of bounce off the walls kind of person. And it grounded me for sure. Yoga, the practice of yoga. And in November of last year, of 2019, I was in my last course for my PhD, before I start writing your dissertation. And people started asking me, okay, so what's next? What are you going to do next? And I had no clue. I look at them like a deer caught in headlights. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's next? Like, I'm a career student. Maybe I'll just pick up another degree. Who knows?
I think you're the only person who's finishing a PhD and has ever told me, gee, I wish there was more.
That's what my husband said. There's no more after this. Like the highest degree.
You finished the end of the road. Oh, classic.
So I just started making up things that sounded good. Like, I'm going to be a director of education. I'm going to be a director of e-learning. And, this is what I'm going to look for. And realizing there are those positions out there, but at the same time, I'm not in love with the idea of being locked down to a desk, to like brick and mortar, even work from home. Just the responsibility of answering to someone and doing something politically that I don't agree with when it comes to education. I learned that in K-12, but really doing something I'm passionate about. So as it comes, you said a lot of people go through this, and I thought I was alone in the journey of who am I and where am I going with my life? What am I going to do with myself? And I started seeing a therapist because I felt really lost. Like I didn't know what my passion, I knew I had passions, but couldn't pinpoint what they were and whether it's something that I can make a living off of, because my passions are about helping people, and especially young women, and showing them, hey, I've been through this. I've been in this spot right here that you're in right now, and you feel like you're never going to get out of. And look at me. I'm a doctor. I'm a yogi. And so just one night I got insomnia. I was not sleeping well because I was so stressed. My mind was constantly going. I just finally said to myself, pray on it, meditate on it. And one night at like 2:00 in the morning, I had been staring at the ceiling for hours. And I was like, you know what? I got an idea. And I jumped up out of bed and I got a journal out and I just started writing it down. And it ended up being the YOMEI workshop. And that's how YOMEI came about.
Oh my goodness, I love those moments. And I always know that is totally tapping into your truth, because I've had them myself, and all of those women that I mentor and coach. It is that moment of, oh my gosh, I just have to write now. I've gone from totally nothing, I'm not sure, to, oh my gosh, I've got everything, and I just want to write and sketch it and plan it, and I'm so excited. Yes. So that is total joy.
Dove head first into it, and that was it. Like, I was so busy all the time. I think my husband forgot what I looked like for a while there.
So let's talk about YOMEI then. What has been the journey to, how do you link what the learnings and the study that you've done in your PhD to yoga? What does that actually look like in a course?
So my studies are actually, because it has to be relevant to higher education, my topic is the perspectives of the use of emotional intelligence in online learning.
Right.
So this is where I'll be interviewing online instructors and asking them how they're using emotional intelligence or how they could use it, so that I can create strategies for it to be implemented into a teacher training program or into first year online student courses, so that students learn emotional intelligence through the modeling of instructors. And with my love and passion for yoga, when I was going through my yoga teacher training, I actually just completed that in June. The teacher that I have, Crystal Gray, she's amazing in the business of yoga, of finding a niche and sticking, like finding that audience, finding that unique part of yoga that is all you, that stands you out in a very saturated market.
Yes.
And I knew that there's emotional intelligence all about self-awareness, and yoga enhances self-awareness. And I only know that from experience. But I decided, okay, I have access to the database now, to the school databases with the journals and academia. I started doing research on how yoga and mindfulness work together, how yoga and emotional intelligence work together, and the benefits of using all three of them together, yoga, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. And then I started doing research on corporate wellness and corporate training that showed how many, emotional intelligence was a hot topic. It comes and goes. Yoga is very trendy. Mindfulness and meditation are up and coming. So you take the three and they're offered individually. Yoga and mindfulness are always offered together. But never has there been one with an emotional intelligence aspect to it. And my goal was, okay, let's take these trendy topics and really shine a light on emotional intelligence and why it's so important for people, for one, but how it can also help businesses with helping their employees be happier in their workplace and more productive, less stress, and really kind of push that idea of, hey, it's important. Emotional intelligence is important for these reasons. And you can see so much better of a work environment if you just enhance it for your employees, enhance it in your leadership. And that's where it came from. All the research.
All the research, which is the way a true academic would approach it.
Yes.
It's an interesting tip. I'll have to let my magic transformation team see this. This is how an academic works out their unique value proposition.
Yes.
Oh dear. So tell me now then, how have you gone about marketing your business? You've come from being a school teacher to then being in academia. How do you then suddenly have a business called YOMEI implementing this unique value to, I'm assuming, a whole new market?
Yes. It's been very difficult. Mostly because of COVID, it's been very difficult because this was meant to be an in-person facilitated workshop where the coaching is one-on-one, well, not one-on-one, it's small group. So up to 20 participants where I'm coaching them, where they're using each other's ideas and they're talking together and working together to understand examples and modeling of emotional intelligence as they learn about it. And because it was meant to be an in-person, I thought it would be really easy just to reach out to different organizations and say, hey, do you know, this is why you need emotional intelligence. I know your employees want yoga. You already have it, or maybe you're looking into it. I'm going to give it to you all in one. And unfortunately, everything shut down just when I was supposed to start launching. And I decided to turn it into an online workshop. So I put everything into the online format in the same way it would be in an in-person format. But it's self-paced, so you can sign up and go at your own pace. It's meant to be 5 weeks, but you can take as little or as much time as you want to get through the course. And then for organizations and businesses, I can tailor the course to their needs. So only their organization, let's say it's Sprint. Let's say Sprint hires me, then I can only allow people from Sprint into this group, and I do live sessions rather than just the online self-paced. So there's so many options for the online platform of how I can do the workshop. But a lot of people right now I think it's hesitant to spend money for their budget because of COVID and businesses not being open, and wondering what the future might look like. But also that hesitancy of doing yoga online rather than in person. And I get it. I'm actually, the last couple of weeks, I've been kind of like Debbie Downer mode because I don't know what to do next. And I've been reaching out to different small business organizations and the Women's Center. There's a lot of military spouse entrepreneurship programs that are free. So I'm really just grabbing at anything that would be free or very cost effective for me to help me to figure out what's next. One great piece of news is last week I received a letter from the Department of Correction here in Florida, and I submitted a proposal to them to bring the workshop to prisons, and it's been accepted.
Oh, congratulations.
So, so now I have the freedom to go out and reach out to the wardens at Department of Correction to bring the workshop there. And again, I think it might be just a hesitancy with budgets and a hesitancy with bringing people in with COVID spreading as quickly as it is in this area.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for things to die down.
Hugely contagious area. And so that's understandable. What I'm hearing also is that you have used this COVID time to go, well, what are your strengths? You are able to then put your course online. It is now then flexible and can be tailored to a variety of groups that other people wouldn't have those skills. So you've used your own skills, and I'm all about leading with your strengths. And so that's really great to see that in action. And it also now gives you a platform that when we're post-COVID, you'll have that additional requirement, support system, flexibility in your business moving forward.
Right. And that's exciting. I'm now at the point where I'm looking for a regular full-time or even part-time job, just because I do need some kind of income coming in with my husband being gone. But it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, do I just keep putting my all into YOMEI and keep my fingers crossed that I'll get that big break? And I feel it coming, you can feel it in you, like it's going to hit the right ears very soon and it's just going to explode. But between now and then, I just worry about kind of balancing finances. And I've been just throwing every bit of money I made in the last year, or not even year, since January, into YOMEI, that I'm at the point where, okay, it's time for me to start kind of holding my own here, especially being in the house by myself and everything. So.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women will be relating to this situation. And I know I've been through that stage a number of times in my life, that you suddenly go, oh my gosh, but this is so good and I'm so close. But the realities of life are that you've still got to be, doing your day job, getting an income, being able to, you've got a lot of expenses. And then how much do you put into your business and not? And unfortunately, it then often means, and it had to me earlier on, that you just go, oh, well, okay, maybe I don't have that dream. Maybe I'll have to put it off. And we certainly don't want to do that. We want to work out, well, what is the balance there? And when you've got, when you've had those moments that you go, no, this is who I am. This is what I'm wanting to do. This is a product that I have. Then, it's the things that you might not need to spend. It's, working out your unique value. How will I share that? Using Canva and other things to get your own collateral made, to try and get the word out through different building networks in this time. And so that when we are in a different health and economic climate, we can then suddenly go, yes, I'm at the ready, rather than have sort of been down and despondent because of the situation. So I think that's, I think people need to hear that often we only hear the good stories of, oh yeah, I just plowed through anyway and my business tripled. It's kind of like, well, not everybody. It is actually a balance, and it's frustrating. Do you feel that? It's that frustration of, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for this situation, I would be in a different place. How do you cope with that kind of feeling of, it feels not fair? Do you get that feeling?
It's hard. I do. And it's really hard just to find that balance, because, I'm used to doing so many things at once. And my goal was, okay, when I move, which, I just moved 3 weeks ago, it's time to slow down, because I was really burning myself out. And I was actually just had a conversation with my husband today. I was walking the dog, talking about going back to the classroom. And he's like, listen, that's the last thing I want you to do. If going to the classroom means you know, if that's the only way you're going to have income, then I'd rather just send you money monthly to hold you over. And that's great, but I can't ask him to support me, in every single way and fund my business. So I have to work. I think my biggest fear is that someone else is gonna steal the idea, take emotional intelligence and yoga and run with it.
Yeah.
Somebody that might already have a platform and already have the audience for it. But at the same time, I'm very confident I have the credentials. You can go ahead and take as many workshops as you want on emotional intelligence. I wrote a book on it. I wrote a dissertation on it, and there's no way you're going to have the expertise I do unless you also wrote a dissertation on it.
Yeah.
So I think, that's my one level up, but at the same time, it's intimidating. I every day feel like I'm sinking a little bit more and more, just kind of down, and I'm trying to keep myself up with not knowing what type of job I want to look for as it is. And knowing that I would dread going back to the classroom if that was the last resort kind of thing. And it sounds awful, but I love teaching. I do. But it comes a time where it's just the politics behind it just gets to be too much.
And things are a season. That's it. It doesn't mean that you didn't love it and you weren't great at it. It just means that after a period of time you go, I've moved on, or I'm in a different place and I'm not wanting that. So could you pop into the classroom and do a day as a temp for the money? Yes. But it also
Exactly.
is a reminder that, no, I need to do that just so that I am staying focused on where I'm wanting to go and what I'm wanting to do. I think you touched on that whole feeling that everybody in business has of competitors and sort of other people copying your stuff or taking your idea and so forth. And I know in every industry people worry about that, and I think that's so important for you to know, well, what is that unique value? And because of your your academic background, and because that's right, as you say, I wrote the book, that actually makes that makes all the difference for the clients that you're wanting to attract. You're actually wanting, if you look at your avatar, your person who's going to consume your product, they're actually saying, okay, well, I want to get the best. I want to have that,
right.
The lady, I need April because she really knows this stuff, rather than a tiny version. And so that then affects everything that you do and how you market your business and so forth.
What helps a lot is anybody who's willing to listen to me, I'll talk about YOMEI. And anybody who does listen to me always says, what a great, wow, people need this. Like, why isn't this taking off? Because this is so needed. I have not heard one person say it was a bad idea. Yeah. So that helps.
That definitely helps. I think that's a big tick for business. Absolutely. We're just going to get Florida out of COVID.
Yes. Get the world out.
So for those listening who you tapped on before that you were had a teenage pregnancy, and you've still got that mindset of, oh my gosh, how do I get from this situation to one day achieving all of my goals, and to realize that to say that I'm have so much more potential. What has been the emotional journey? Can you expand on that a little bit more, from when you were back there in your teens to what you're wanting?
So the emotional journey. So when I had my son, I had just turned 19. So I got pregnant when I was 18. It wasn't, I guess you could say, choice pregnancy. I was raped in order to get pregnant, which was a difficult decision to keep him, because it was from somebody I had previously been in an abusive relationship with. So moving forward with my son, and my son, I always call him my hero. If it weren't for having him, I'd probably be dead, just because of the route my life was taking.
Wow.
And because of that, I felt like I had something to prove for him, something, I had meaning now as a mom. And I got my GED 2 weeks before he was born. I was so pregnant taking that test in the little chairs with the attached desk that I had to sit sideways.
Hard to
because
fit
my
in
belly
there.
wouldn't fit. Yeah. But I got it, and it meant so much to me. And then I think he was maybe 6 months old when I took my first course to become a teacher. And it took me 9 years to get my bachelor's degree. because
my
I took
gosh.
one class at a time. And then
Yeah.
when I could, I'd take two. I would take the summer courses. I do everything I can and pull at my sister, my parents, anyone who could babysit him to help me so that I can take another course and another course and another course until I finally finished. And it was difficult. One thing I think it's a double-edged sword when you share stories like this, because young girls are like, oh, well, she did it and she's a doctor, so why can't I?
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it sounds. And in undergrad, when I finally went to the university, because I did start at a community college, I went to the university and saw everyone my age having so much fun. And they were partying and they were joining sororities and fraternities and going to basketball games and, the campus parties, and lived on campus. And here I am, the 22-year-old mom, of, how old was he? Of a 4-year-old, walking around campus with him in tow, begging my instructors, look, he'll color, he'll sit nice and quiet. If he makes a peep,
so
I'll
good.
leave early. Yeah. And, thank God some of them would allow him to stay, because I couldn't find a babysitter or something.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy at all. But it took a lot of perseverance. And I dedicate my undergrad degree to my son, because it took patience for him too. He only had me. I'm the one who raised him.
Yeah.
And a lot of sacrifice with time and stuff to not have time with him because I was trying to better myself for him.
Yeah. And that is the reality, that's
Yeah.
right. I'm a mum of 5, as you know. And so that's right. That journey of going back, doing classes, doing assignments, believing in yourself, believing that it will make a difference for your future, but also realizing that, your kids are compromised by that. You can't have one without the other. And it's not dreamy, if you don't have childcare and you don't have, you're tired, you're trying to juggle it all. It really requires that, inner power to come out and drive you to go, no, I know I have this potential, and it's worth it, and it's worth it for your children. But it's also, it's actually nice to hear other mums going, yeah, my child had to, adjust, that's their life. So they do what is their norm, but also, that's right. They have to be extra quiet, extra good, and behave themselves so that mum doesn't go hysterical when she gets back in the car.
Exactly.
And that is the reality of trying to juggle it all. Wow. So he must be so proud now. Oh my goodness.
He is. I think every time he goes to do something new in his life, he'll tell me like, Mom, you're my inspiration. If it weren't for you, and I think about it, and it was just a random conversation he had with me one day. He's just like, you did it with me by yourself, and look at you now. You're going to be a doctor. He's like, what an inspiration you are to me and to my sisters. Like, I have an ex-husband with 2 kids, and that's his sisters. So just hearing him say things like that, and like when he talks to his friends, he really talks me up, and it just means a lot that he recognizes that it was, it felt selfish to me at the time, but now that he's at an age where he understands, he's 25 now, that means the world to me when he tells me things like that. Like, thank you for being my mom and teaching me these lessons and being so hard on me.
And you're a beautiful mum, and you have achieved a lot, incredible amount. And so of course he is proud, and it's delightful to hear that. And what a great role model you have been and continue to be for him in his life. And for those listening, it's an inspirational journey, but it also is a real journey, that it has been painstakingly long. And not all of us have the journey just from A to B. Life happens, and we have to adjust to that. So amazing. So this podcast is all about, memoirs of successful women, and you're definitely, incredibly successful in all that you've achieved. But what does success look like for you, moving forward? Has it been the achievements you've had? Is it the things you're yet to do? Is it aligning to your purpose? What does it mean to you?
When I look at success on varied levels, I feel like I'm successful in life. I've conquered and survived, and here I am. And, I've gone through some very dark places and been in some very dark places and been through a lot of traumatic experiences. And what makes me successful is the fact that I came out on top. Um, I want to say I feel successful in my career, but I don't, because I didn't have the opportunity to grow in education like I wanted to, because of the fact that I became a military spouse. So my goal was, until my son graduated high school, I'll be in the classroom so that I can meet his schedule. And then on his junior, senior year, when he's a little older and can care less about mom, I'll move into something more meaningful. Like, I want to have something to do with equity and be in the superintendent's office, to change laws for education. And realize that, okay, now that I'm moving around every 3 years, this is not a reality for me. You can't move up if you're not in the same place. And I was very disappointed that I wasn't going to do that. And my motto was, there's so many problems in education that I'm tired of being part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution, which is why I went for my PhD. That was my ultimate goal, is get into legislation and change laws. But at this point, not that I can't still do that. I can definitely push for it. It's just not something politically that I'm interested in doing. So success for me would be now just being the best me I can be. Keep pushing. And I don't know where life is going to take me. I don't know where I'm going to be in a year, as far as my career is concerned, or YOMEI is concerned. I just know that wherever I am, I'm going to be the best employee, best boss, best person, entrepreneur that I can be. And that's gotten me to where I am today. So I'm just going to keep doing it.
It sure has. It's definitely a formula that's working for you. And you go, girl. I'm inspired just listening to you. Well done, you. So for those who are listening, what do you encourage if you're that young woman now, late teens, early 20s, and you've got, belief that you can do more and become the successful woman in your own space? What advice do you give them?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think we have bigger egos than men sometimes when it comes to that, thinking we could do everything ourselves, and being in a competitive market with other women. But being that complement to each other instead of competition is really important. And really just being there, looking and seeking and knowing there's always something, there's a resource out there to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And I wish I did. If I can go rewind back to my 20s, I definitely would have done a lot of things differently, and my life would have been a whole lot easier.
I think that's such wonderful advice, because that's right. It's happened to all of us. Why didn't I ask for help? Why do I have a default that I think I have to do everything myself? And then I get frustrated that no one's helping me, but I didn't necessarily ask them to. It's such a weird thing. And
It is.
and so young girls, definitely just ask for help. Like, what's the worst thing? Someone can say, no, sorry. Most of the time you get pleasantly surprised and go, yeah, I'll do what I can. I'd love to help you. And that's what this is all about too. And that's how we've connected, internationally, that we're all about empowering women, and we're about, you follow your heart and your dream in the area that you love. And so, that's empowering. There's enough space in business for all of us. And so we need to be encouraging each other and supporting each other, because we know our journeys are hard. They do come with lots of challenges. And whether it's a lot of children, partners away, traveling, illness, there's just so many things that can influence our ability to, push on. And so it's a great thing to be here supporting each other through that.
I always say an excuse is an excuse is an excuse. You can come up with 1,000 excuses of why you can't do something, but that one reason why you can, that's what you need to hold on to. I don't have childcare. I don't have the money. I don't have a husband, whatever the case may be. Like, all you need is yourself and that little inkling of an idea in your head to follow, and just don't give up on your dreams. I think that's the biggest takeaway I've ever had is once you give up on yourself, who else is going to root for you? Probably not many people, because I don't know what's in there.
Exactly. So don't give up, ladies. That is our message. Do not give up, and you are more than enough. is the message as
Yeah.
well. You know, you don't need to be anything more. You're already there. It's just tapping into that, believing in yourself, realizing that it will take some time often, and it is a frustrating, bumpy journey. But rather than be discouraged by that, use it as motivation. Use it as a way of proving people wrong, showing to yourself that you can reach these goals. And always be curious in looking forward on the what's next. Definitely.
Yes,
well, it's been a delight to have you on my program today. Thank you so much for your sharing. I think that's going to be really inspirational for all of those listening in. And I look forward to the next step of YOMEI.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So do I. Great things are coming, right?
Absolutely. So how do people find you, April? If someone's wanting to reach out and they want to book you?
Yep. I'm on YOMEI.org. It's YOMEI.org. You can find my Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn links on the page, as well as contact me form. All the information you need about the workshop is there, including an overview. There's a research page that shows all the research that I talked about. And then there's also an individual side to YOMEI. On Instagram especially, it's YOMEI_you. And where I do one-on-one instruction, whether it's coaching for emotional intelligence or yoga classes. I do have a small studio in my home where I can do that one-on-one practice. It's a supplement to keep YOMEI above water during these trying times. And I'm hoping that I can at least reach out to, some young women or even older women, anybody who needs a little bit of guidance in their life.
Terrific. All right. Well, all the contact details will also be on my podcast platform. And so if this interests you, definitely go and reach out to April. She is ready and waiting to help you on your way to more mindful emotional intelligence linked with yoga. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a great night.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Memoirs of Successful Women. You can find me at anniegibbins.com, where you can download my free resources, get connected on social, and check out my online magic transformation program. If you love this show, feel free to subscribe to future episodes, and of course, share it with your friends. I'll see you again soon, and until then, happy podcasting.